This is the EVP Podcast.
Hey folks, guess who's back? It's the EVP Podcast with Ghosty.
I'm Beaker.
And Lurch.
What?
It's Lurch.
Where did you come from?
I don't know, man.
Who let this guy in
Hi.
We started recording, and all of a sudden he's like, ding, I'm here.
I literally opened the door on you, Tim.
Yeah, you did.
You didn't even have to knock. I knew you were approaching.
You blew me a kiss.
here? Yep. Smelled good. I smelled it.
It was amazing. I was like, nice to see you too.
Welcome back, Lurch.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
It's been a couple of years.
Yep. Oh, sorry.
What
Yeah,
is-
I was just thinking about you guys the other day, and I was wondering when you're going to have me back on the show. And
I felt those thoughts, and I said, you know who I need to call?
and Beaker here tells me that it's been 2 years. It literally hasn't felt like it's been that long. But, hey, I'm happy to be back. Thanks for thinking of me.
Let's find out.
We were just talking about the last time that I was on when we were talking about the Tooele investigation, which I guess you guys talked about last week from what you were saying with...
I lied to you. You weren't the first guest.
I wasn't.
No, Dave was.
Okay.
You were the
That's all right.
second guest, but March of 2021
Wow.
is the last time you were here. We brought him back,
That was just as COVID was taken off.
pretty much.
That is insane.
That's probably why I haven't seen you in 2 years.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
COVID.
Because I am kind of nasty.
Well, you're an
COVID
artist.
nasty.
Artists are dirty. Oh, I don't.
I
maybe?
practice good hygiene just for audience. I did shower this week, so
Good job.
yeah. Thank you.
Well, this week's episode, we're going to travel over to Tennessee.
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 Adams.
Wait,
Adams,
real
Tennessee.
quick.
Real quick?
For those of you that haven't listened to the Lurch episode, why don't you tell us who you are, a little bit about your background, just like 5 minutes ago.
Oh, okay. So who I am when I became part of the group. This am I allowed to mention?
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, Beaker. Actually, yeah, you were part of WISPs as well. I was one of the core members of WISPs for a number of years. During that time, I was also the funeral director. There's no coincidence at all. It's not a morbid fascination at any means, but I was friends with Deanne and had a phone call. I was actually friends with Gary, and Gary had mentioned the group, and I knew Deanne from playing together in a pipe band with her. And she talked to me about going on an investigation, and the rest is history. I mean, from the get-go, we went out to Asylum 49 in Tooele, heard Audible, EVP, and that had me hooked. And so we did that for a number of years, you and me, and had a lot of fun. And yeah, I feel like I should say "and" a few more times.
And do it, and
And
I mean,
and
is that a good enough
and
summary?
then it is a very good
Okay,
summary.
Okay, cool.
So if you haven't listened to the episode after you're done with this one, go listen back to episode 8.
Yeah,
Special guest
good.
Lurch. My name is Jeff.
My name is Jeff.
My name is Jeff. But
Yeah, we talk about the same investigation you guys talked about last week, the Tooele investigation. And when I tell people about my involvement with WISPs and being a part of the paranormal group, that's usually one of the stories that I bring up every single time, because it truly stands out as being one of the most unusual, one of the most frightening, not because of what was in the house, but because of the homeowner.
Yeah.
And I told you that before we started recording this, is that I wasn't afraid of the home, or I wasn't afraid of what the homeowner brought in. I was afraid of the homeowner actually killing us.
Yeah.
That was a really scary and unusual night. And I remember for the longest time we'd joke like, "Oh, has anyone read the Tooele newspaper? Or has there been a murder-suicide of a
Told
young
you.
22, 23-year-old family?" I mean, even the wife, when we left that night, the wife was skittish and didn't want to be touched by her husband. And they were like a early 20-something couple with they had a little baby that was like maybe a year old, 18 months or something, less than 2 years. But yeah, the wife was freaked out. She didn't want her husband to touch her at all after we were done doing what we did.
Yeah.
So
All right.
yeah,
Now that we've got that out of the way,
now
let's go
that
to
we've done that-
Tennessee.
yeah, Tennessee.
Let's time travel. Where are we traveling to?
Oh, we're going way back to, was it 18?
17.
17? Is it 17?
Started in 17. Sort of,
17.
Yeah.
1721?
1817.
So I'm guessing
1817.
1817.
So 1817 to 1821 is when
Yeah.
all this was going down.
All of it.
But there was the Bell Witch is what they called it.
the
Bell
See,
Witch.
and I had never heard of the Bell Witch
Have
until
you-
you guys.
So have you heard of the American Haunting?
Yeah,
The movie?
The movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's this.
I haven't watched it though.
Oh, you've never seen
I've
you
never
should watch
seen.
it.
the
Let's have a
American
watching party. I got it on DVD. That's how old this movie is. And I
I'll,
have it on DVD.
on DVD. It came out after 1995. It's so old.
I think it was early 2000s.
Yeah, it was like 2005.
It was pretty good.
I'm old. No.
I still buy DVDs. Does that make me old? I don't
Oh,
care for
dude.
Blu-rays
I don't buy anything anymore.
because I don't want to buy. I mean, I like the hard copies.
I do too.
I like
I
seeing
have an
something
extensive Blu-ray
tangible.
DVD collection.
But yeah, it's like I don't want to have to buy my whole DVD collection over again in Blu-rays, and then in 20 years from now, when they come up with the hologram discs, I don't want to have to buy all my
That's
movie
why I
plus.
stopped buying. I just
Yeah.
stream everything.
The nice thing is most of these Blu-ray players are backwards compatible. You can still play your DVDs.
Yeah, well, I know that.
I have not rebought anything on purpose. But it's a good movie if I remember correctly. It's with Donald Sutherland as our main character, John
Maybe
Bell.
I have seen it. Maybe I
Sounds
have seen
familiar.
it. That sounds familiar with Donald Sutherland.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll
It's
I'll
like
have to.
pioneer-ish haunting cabins.
Well, it's 1817. So,
1817. Here are the cabins.
yeah,
Okay.
Tennessee.
Tennessee.
Tennessee,
Yeah,
The cabins were born.
in 1817.
1817. Donald Sutherland.
Donald Sutherland. What
Okay.
started this whole activity? Like, do
Oh.
So
Whoa. Yeah.
you remember?
Go on with it.
Okay, so there's one
So
day.
this is a really rural area of Tennessee
Yeah,
we're
this is
talking
like
about.
kind
Oh,
of
yeah,
in the
so
middle
It's
of
like
nowhere.
This
what
is-
30 miles outside of Nashville, from what I read.
Yeah.
And it's just a really rural farm area. And apparently, from what I understood, there was just a farm owner had a family,
He
and
had like 9 kids.
activities start. How did
The
how
oldest
activity?
daughter started having things happen to her, but something happened first, right?
So John Bell, the father, he's like 61 or so, somewhere in there. He's in his 60s.
Yeah,
okay.
He's out for a walk one day on the farm.
Okay,
And he sees this weird dog creature thing, right?
that's right. A dog creature, and he shoots at it, but it disappears.
Right. So this thing, like,
Glowing red eyes.
it had like the
Yeah.
head of like a rabbit.
It made me think of like a skinwalker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And then the son,
It's a really shitty skinwalker.
yeah, then the son, one of the sons is like running towards a fence because he saw a really large bird, and it took off.
turkey.
And it took off, and then also one of the daughters saw a girl swinging from a tree.
Yeah, like wearing a green dress, I believe.
Yeah.
So they see all
So this is
stuff.
all stuff that's happening outside of their house,
Yeah.
on the farm somewhere.
So I guess the same night, like that John had saw, because I think some of the other stuff had happened before,
Okay.
around the same time. But the night John saw this dog rabbit thing, that night they started hearing scratching on the walls and knocking on the walls from outside of the house.
It was an antelope.
Yeah, it was a jackalope.
Jackalope.
Jackalope. That's it. Couldn't even get the punchline right. Damn it.
Who
This
brought
guy.
this guy?
Sorry, I invited him.
I'll see my way out.
Lurch is here. So yeah, the jackalope was scratching on the outside of the house, knocking and stuff like that. And they went to investigate, and there was nothing. They couldn't find anything.
Like no tracks or no scratches?
Yeah, no scratches, nothing.
Wow.
They couldn't find what was making the noise. And this went on for months.
Yeah, this went on for a long time, but then things were happening to the oldest daughter.
Middle daughter, Beth. She's
Was it
like
Beth?
13.
Or is the oldest daughter? Or,
What was-
She might have been the oldest daughter.
Old-
What was
daughter,
happening? What
middle
was happening
kid.
to the daughter?
So
was,
she
was
was
she
getting
being touched or something? Or
she was
being,
having things happen to her in her sleep.
Betsy,
Her-
sorry. Betsy.
Betsy.
Yeah.
And she was getting her hair was getting like tied to the bedposts.
and
She was
She's
getting
weren't like their
slapped.
blankets getting
slapped and
pulled
hit.
or something?
Yeah, she was getting pulled.
Like everybody had their
blankets.
blankets being pulled
Yeah.
off. She was getting slapped and like punched and poked and stuck with pins and
That's
stuff like
right.
that.
Yeah, she's getting poked in her sleep. getting-
And I mean, she wasn't making this up because she would wake up the next day with like bruises and marks
Yeah.
of where this stuff was actually happening.
And even who's Mr. Bell, Farmer Bell, had sleep paralysis from what I remember reading too, didn't he?
Yeah,
He had something where he couldn't,
his tongue would swell up.
Yeah.
and he couldn't, like he was choking on something.
Yeah.
right?
So it was paralysis of his mouth is what
That's
it
it.
says here
Yeah.
on Wikipedia. That's where we get our stuff from. No, like his tongue would like swell up for days at a time, and he wouldn't be able to eat anything. So, and then the most of the focus was on John and Betsy, and there was, like I said, there was like 10 people, 11 people in this house because they had like 8 or 9 kids.
And it's not a huge place.
No, it's a
I saw
small cabin.
Yeah, it's a small cabin. But that's how they lived back then. You know, you had 12 people living in a small cabin, and you got to know each other. It was very cozy.
But this went on for a while, and they didn't really say anything to anybody because they didn't want to like draw attention to it, I guess.
Well, they didn't want to draw attention, but there was still attention happening, though.
Yeah, I mean, they experienced stuff like daily.
And
Yeah.
I could only imagine being like one of those kids, like, you don't talk about this. You know, looking at your siblings like, without saying anything, but like, I know you guys heard that last night, but we're not going to talk about it.
Well, they end up hearing voices.
Uh-huh.
And
Well, before that, so a year of this stuff going on, they finally decide to go to the neighbors, James Johnson, and ask them to come, him and his wife to come spend the night, to see if like it was just they were just imagining things, to see if this shit was all in their heads, right?
okay.
So James comes over with his wife, and that same night, that first night, same thing. They heard the scratchings, they heard the knockings, their sheets were pulled off of them, and so they were able to be like, yeah, there's stuff going on here, definitely.
So now they have their entire household of kids plus the neighbors over in the same small cabin.
Yep.
Why not, right?
Yeah, of
Slumber
course.
party.
Yeah, it's cozy.
Slumber party.
So it's at this point when they're just like, okay, maybe we should tell people and like see if we can figure out what's going on. So like they started inviting other family and friends over, and
They had
they had experiences, and it was always like knocking and stuff like that. And they would even ask questions, and it would answer in the knocks. Like they'd ask like, you know, how many people in the room, and it would knock that many times.
Wow.
And for the longest time, it was just knocking and scratchings. And eventually it got to the point to where all that stopped. And then they started hearing whispering.
Yeah, it's
started hearing, like,
slowly escalating.
Yeah, so the knockings and stuff stopped. It slowly escalated into a whisper. And then it was kind of raspy voice. And then it was a full-on woman's voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this woman's voice, they believed it was a woman named Kate.
Kate Betts or
Kate's
something.
Betts.
Kate
Bef-
Betts.
Before that.
But they don't think it's hard to say that it's her though, because she's still alive during this time.
Okay.
So it would make no sense why it's her voice, unless she's cursing them and it's the witch herself.
So,
Yeah.
so the spirit actually led them on way before it even got to saying it was Kate's Betts. It actually literally said, they asked, you know, who do you want, or who are you and what do you want? And the spirit answered, I am a spirit. I was once very happy but have been disturbed. And then offered an explanation saying that they were Native American and that their burial ground had been disturbed, and which I thought was really interesting about this because it actually was true. So there was their like servant friend that they had named Dean, and one of the sons, I believe his name was James. I could be wrong, but Dean went out and kind of dug up one of the graves, thinking there might be buried treasure in this burial ground that they found. And this was like years before the activity started, right? So they had dug up some of the bones, thinking they're going to find treasure. Decided to bring in one of the jawbones into the house and, you know, throw it against the wall because that's what you do, right?
Right? Yeah, it's what everyone does with a jawbone.
So
right?
stupid.
So when they threw it against the wall, apparently one of the teeth became dislodged and fell in the cracks on the floor. So after the kids were done messing around with the bones, they decided to go back out and bury the bones. So there was the spirit was like, I'm pissed off because my bones were disturbed and my tooth is under your house.
Yeah.
Well, didn't the spirit also say that it's been there for millions of years?
Yeah, that's what one account said.
So it said it's been there for millions of years, and then they asked why the spirit was going after John Bell, and it said he just needed killing.
Yep,
Yeah.
just needed killing.
You know, you think about some of the stupid things those pioneers did back then, and they didn't know better.
Right.
But still, you read of these accounts, and it's like, how much of a bonehead really were you? You are just dumb as dirt. Yeah, let's go dig up some ancient Indian burial grounds and grab a jawbone and, have fun with it and desecrate their grave and throw their jaw against a wall and knock some teeth out and, oh, maybe we did something bad. Maybe we should go put it back. It's like,
Damn pioneers.
oh my gosh, you guys survived thousands of miles across the plains, with fighting starvation and dysentery and disease and who knows what else, wild animals and savages, and you end up doing dumb shit like that.
So here's the kicker.
Yeah?
So because the spirit said it was pissed about its tooth being in the house,
Yeah?
John actually tore up the floorboards and spent days digging around trying to find this tooth to make the spirit happy.
Did he ever find it?
No, he never found it. He eventually gave up and told the spirit, I'm sorry, I can't find it. You know how the spirit responded?
What?
It laughed at him. It laughed like maniacally and said, you fool. I don't give a shit about the tooth. I'm not connected to it. It was just a joke.
So she's really just pissed about the desecration of the grave?
Probably not. Probably
Just
it
making
might
them
not even
suffer.
have been this Native American spirit.
Yeah.
because
Oh, yeah.
Eventually, like you guys said, it came forward and said, I'm not really a spirit. I'm the witch Kate Bell. I'm your neighbor. Or Kate Betts, sorry.
This totally makes me think either skinwalker or just demonic entity.
I'm going to lean towards the demonic entity.
I that's what I'm feeling too, because it gets slowly ramped up and
So it never says Kate Betts ever. It just says Kate.
It just said Kate. So they
And-
assumed it was Kate Betts.
But the thing is she's still alive. And there is speculation on whether or not John Bell would even have any beef with her or not.
yeah.
So I guess the rumor was that he got into a disagreement over some business with her brother-in-law. Not even her.
Right.
Like Kate was kind of an outcast in the community. People really didn't like her. They said she dabbled in dark magic. The
She
Bell
was probably
family.
just emo.
Well, that's just kind of making her a scapegoat because I mean,
Yeah.
typically from our experience of dealing with demonic entities, they won't tell you their true name because having their name is having a bit of power over them.
It is.
So of course they're going to give you like a fake name. Instead of being Beelzebub, the ruler of the 7th level of hell, he's going to be like, "Oh, I'm little Timmy, and I just want to play with your puppy. Bring me home with you."
Yep.
So I get that. I don't know what they could have possibly done. It sounds like they did some pretty stupid shit.
And from what I understand, the Bells were actually one of the very few families in the area that actually liked Kate and got along with her.
There you go.
See, so that wouldn't make any sense. Why
No, it
would
wouldn't make
even-
any sense.
No, so
And there's some account of her like giving the same talk in 2 different places at the same time or something.
They would ask all sorts of questions.
Uh-huh.
And the spirit knew the answers to all sorts of stuff.
Okay.
That you wouldn't know. But so what happened is there's 2 reverends that were friends with the Bell family, and they came over to visit one day. Both of them at the same time.
Okay.
Came to visit, and the spirit started talking and started quoting verbatim, word for word, what one of the reverends gave in their sermon that day.
Wow.
And then right after, it started quoting the other reverend's sermon that it gave that day, word for word. These sermons both happened at 11 o'clock that morning, 13 miles apart. And this spirit was able to quote word for word both sermons.
How did they know that it was quoted word for word?
Apparently the reverends said that was.
So they
guess.
documented it by writing it down, or
They might have. I don't know. It just says
voice
that-
recorders.
yeah,
Voice recorders,
back
yeah.
in 1817.
18
Of
year
course,
of the
yeah.
cabin.
They,
Year of the cabin.
That's when they had to use their digital voice recorders to capture EVPs. Of course,
Yes.
yeah.
How else would they have done that?
That's only logical.
Duh.
Apparently the,
Sorry, that was a stupid question.
I know.
they had their
Typewriters.
stenographer.
Yeah, the court stenographer.
But I
Word
guess
processors.
I guess the spirit. The weird thing is we want to say it's a demon, right?
Yeah.
And in my experience, I've never seen a demon, and it's possible, but this demon it was very fond of quoting like Bible verses and scripture.
Well, that makes sense. I mean,
And I guess it really liked their friend James, the one that stayed, the first family that stayed overnight, because he would read Bible scriptures and scriptures and stuff. And I believe the spirit named him Old Sugar Mouth or something like that.
Old Sugar Mouth.
because he would read scriptures. And the funny thing is this spirit would
Sugar
act up
Mouth.
all the time, right? But whenever James was there and James started talking, the spirit would get quiet and let him talk. So it seemed to have a thing for James. I don't know.
And it enjoyed scriptures. That's
Yeah, that's what
unusual.
that's what I find weird about
Yeah.
this.
When the
yeah,
word was
right.
out, a lot of people were actually coming to see this.
I remember reading
And-
something about one of the presidents.
People, yes,
Jackson.
Andrew
Andrew
Jackson.
Jackson.
So
Andrew
he,
Jackson.
one of the second oldest son, I think it was the second oldest that
Yeah.
served with him.
Yeah.
And had told him about the encounters that was going on, so he wanted to come check this out.
So he actually had
Andrew Jackson went out
stay
there.
at
He
his
stayed
house.
and he checked it out, and he said that he would rather face the whole British army than stay there and face the Bell Witch again.
And that's just one night.
That's
He stayed
one
there
night.
one night.
Yeah.
So that night when they were on their way out there, their wagon wheels actually locked up on their way to the Bell House.
Gee,
And
do
they
you
didn't
think-
have brakes back then.
They didn't have brakes. There was there was no mud, no sticks, nothing. There was no reason why the mechanism should have locked up. They couldn't pull their wagons.
Bell Witch.
And then, well, they heard a disembodied voice eventually saying, like, I'll let you
Witch.
go for now.
Yeah.
And then
there you go.
all of a sudden the wheels unlocked and they were able to get to the Bell House. And I guess there was one of the soldiers was like a self-professed witch hunter saying he was going to shoot the Bell Witch. And nothing. There was no activity at all.
Yeah,
until,
let's taunt the evil, malevolent spirit as we're approaching, saying, challenging it.
Just with a gun, I'm gonna shoot
Yeah,
you, bitch.
I'm gonna shoot you.
So he tried.
Just
He,
shooting
he
the
did.
kids
So
at the
that's
house.
that same voice, that they heard in the woods, when their wagon started working again, is like when Andrew Jackson's like, well, what? I just want you to scare this guy because he says he's a witch hunter and he's going to kill you. So basically the voice was like, yeah, bring it on, I'm right here. So he shot in the direction he heard the voice, and obviously missed. But then Andrew Jackson and his crew. And this is why he said he would rather face the whole British Army than stay another night there. They watched this soldier get the shit beat out of him by nothing. Like some invisible force was there just kicking the shit out of this guy.
So have you seen those caught on cameras clips where some guy gets like picked up by like laying in bed
Yeah.
and then it's like slammed down or whatever? You
Yeah,
know?
it's all
Or people like
photoshopped.
running down a hallway and then like you see a shadow coming towards them, all of a sudden just like slam them and
Fight Club.
Yeah,
when
Ghost Fight Club.
when he's fighting himself in the parking lot, the guy's watching him, and he's like, "Holy crap!" He's like getting flipped around. I get it.
Yeah, so that's
Holy
what happened, and
cow.
that's why Andrew Jackson's like, I'm good. We're not going back.
Right?
got his ass handed to him.
Wow.
And then there was two kids or young men. They ended up spending a few nights there, or a couple nights there at least. Mm-hmm. And there was a handwritten letter that was found. So this is actual like handwritten from 1820. And these kids these young men were writing to their mother. Mm-hmm. So they traveled to go there, and they wanted to see the angel of the Bell Angel or whatever they called it at the time. And they said the first night nothing happened.
Angel of Death.
And they said the second night, that's when shit went down.
Yeah.
And they said, it's not an angel. This is the devil.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was 1820, when also year of the cabin.
So I did see online that it's a historically preserved site now.
Yeah, it's still standing. The cabin's
So
still there.
Are they offering ghost investigations?
From what I understand, yes, but I actually, yeah, on the Bell Witch website,
Okay.
you can actually go there and
This is
schedule a tour.
still on like acres and acres of undisturbed
So there's
property.
a
There's a
cave.
cave nearby.
A
too.
cave nearby too.
You can
yeah,
go
that's
into a
right.
cave.
Well, are we headed that way of talking about the cave? Let's please continue.
So is there stories about the cave?
I think the
before
kids played in the
John's-
cave and they heard stuff going on in the cave, but
Because in the woods, they hear voices coming from the woods, and that's where the cave is kind of like in that direction of the voices.
so the
Do you
cave's
think-
on their property too.
Do you think the cave could have been the home of the Bell Witch when she was alive?
It's possible.
That's what they say, but I mean,
It was just the Bell Cave because it was on the
it was
property.
on the property, yeah.
Yeah. But did they find like any evidence of anyone ever inhabiting it or anything
So
like that?
they have found that. So inside this cave, there was that show with Josh Gates, and he has those two other people with him. Expedition.
Expedition Unknown?
Yeah, the new episodes.
I haven't seen that.
So they went in the cave and they found artifacts.
Okay.
Not artifacts, but like things. They found things There were
So maybe like
there
a
were
primitive
items-
people did live there.
No, it
and
was like
it's-
not. It was like hard to even get to. I believe it was like really hard to get back in there, and they found like all these items. Yeah, what were they?
What are they like man-made items?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
like people, like somebody was hanging out in there.
oh, recently.
No, I don't know how recent. I don't know how old the stuff was. It's
Okay.
hard to tell, but it's like
Maybe a couple
30.
100 years old? Or
Could
maybe
be
a couple
100,
thousand?
Could be 100. Could be 1,000.
Okay. Okay. So there was
There was
evidence
stuff.
that someone had lived there at one point.
Or hung out.
Or hung out, or, who knows? It could have been home to many Native Americans or something, ancient peoples. Aliens. It was aliens.
It was aliens, man. I'm not saying it was aliens, but it was aliens.
Gotta be aliens.
Mind blown.
So, 1820 is when John Bell ends up getting dead.
Dead.
He bought the farm?
Yeah.
Well, he already owned it, but
Okay.
his what's funny is like this witch like was kind of a jerk, right? But not to everybody. Wasn't a jerk to Lucy, John's wife,
Okay.
the mother. Like when she got sick, it would no activity. When she was asleep, she wouldn't talk or anything like that. If Lucy needed something when she was awake, she would go tell the other family members. This voice or this spirit, Kate, would tell the family members of the house, like, "Hey, Lucy needs this. Go get her for her."
Yeah.
So it seemed to be really fond of Lucy, but really hated John. Really,
I was
hated
going to
Betsy.
say it hated
needed
John
killing.
Bell.
He
Yeah.
needed
He needed killing. Yeah. So do you
Well,
think
he needed to be dead. That's what she said.
Do you think maybe she was behind his death?
Well, that's what she says. She
She
was.
said she did it.
So
How did he die?
poison.
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 Of course.
And the voice said that she's the one that did it. She said, "I poisoned him."
In his food, or
I fixed him real good.
Yeah, I fixed him.
So there was a vial. They
Yeah.
found this vial, and they had no idea what was in it. He was, he was on
What?
some medicine, right?
yeah, Grandpa's cough syrup.
And like, yeah.
Yeah.
So like his medicine got replaced with this vial. Even the doctors came over. They're like, we have no idea what this is. So they wanted to test it.
Bro, some of those medications back in the 1820s, whoo,
Full cocaine.
Cocaine, weed, PCP,
Heroin.
Oh my goodness, opium. You name it, man. You could buy anything over the
This
counter.
is a high dose of cocaine. Then
It could
I have
have
no
been
idea.
something,
So
man. Maybe it was like heart failure
well,
or something.
like I said, the doctor had no idea what it was.
Yeah.
So they wanted to test it, and they gave a little bit, like 2 drops to the cat.
And the cat keeled
The cat
over.
like started freaking out and then just died.
Wow, 2 drops.
Yep.
Killed the cat.
And when Kate took credit for it and said, "I fixed him real good."
Yeah, so she said that she did it.
Wow.
And everything pretty much stopped the next year.
Yeah, shortly. Well, so
Oh.
it went on for like another year. Betsy,
Yeah.
so
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, tell your story.
Betsy was 15.
Uh-huh.
She was engaged to some guy named, I believe, John. That was like 20. Which
Okay, wait. Now, John was the name of the farm owner originally.
Everybody's name was John. Bell.
everyone's
Okay.
John. There's so many Johns.
Just making sure that everyone, and I'm sure some of the kids were named John as well.
Yeah, at least
It's like,
3 of
it's
them.
like George Foreman naming
Oh.
all of his kids George, even his daughter George.
Before we get into the Betsy and John thing or whatever his name was, so at John Bell Senior's at his funeral,
Mm-hmm.
after the procession, after they did all the hymns and stuff like that, the spirit actually like crashed the funeral and was singing drinking songs.
Oh my gosh!
At the funeral, like causing havoc there.
You tell me about his widow marrying a younger John. Last night I saw a clip for the movie The Stupids, where he's singing "I'm my own grandpa." It just made me think of that. He's suddenly his own grandpa. You know.
Many years ago when I was 23. So it was his daughter was marrying some guy named John, I
goodness.
believe. They were engaged, and the Bell Witch was like, "You need to break up with
Yeah,
him."
she was telling him that he's
crashing
not the
the
one.
wedding.
It crashed. Will crash the funeral, trying to crash the wedding.
Oh my gosh.
She kept disturbing him. Like they got to the point where Betsy was actually afraid that because the spirit took credit for killing her dad.
Yeah.
She was afraid that the spirit was going to do something to her fiance, possibly even kill him. So she broke up with him.
Yeah.
And then it was shortly after that the activity stopped.
Wow. I remember at one point the spirit did say that she was going to leave for 7 years. And she did. She left for 7 years. Was it after John Sr. died? And then he came back and the kids were living in the house now? Something about that. Does that ring a bell?
John Sr. was already
Yeah.
Yeah, so when he
but
died,
the spirit
and then-
left for 7
Okay.
years.
The
I remember.
spirit did leave.
Yeah,
and
the
then-
spirit did leave, and she was actually gone for 7 years. But once she came back, it's like the kids were living in the house now.
Yeah, I think Betsy was like engaged to somebody
Yeah.
new at this time. The spirit was pissed about Betsy being engaged to this guy too.
So
Shit.
it did what it said. It left for 7 years. There was no activity during that period, and it came back like 7 years to the date, and the activity just picked right back up where it left off.
So
That's a trip, man.
apparently this has kept going on with more family members later on. We'll get into that in a second.
Okay.
But,
There was a lot of skeptics. People thought that like the Bell family was making this all up.
well, did you hear about John Bell before any of this, where he was pretty much new to this whole area? Mm-hmm. He was starting over. Like, he had just moved there and was starting life all over again.
Where did he move from?
Somewhere
Oh, it
further
doesn't matter.
northeast.
It doesn't matter.
But anyways, he was excommunicated from the Baptist church before
Okay.
moving. And people didn't even know you could get excommunicated from the Baptist church.
well, that's what the whole the Eastern. I mean, that was a resurgence of religious. They were all
they said
passionate
that
about getting into
he was excommunicated for usury.
usury. Yeah, that's charging interest for loans.
Okay, so he got excommunicated for that. So he was already kind of known as
He was
being-
greedy.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
you know, he was already
He was a
known
money.
as,
He was a pioneer money launderer.
yeah, pretty much.
That's what he was.
And
he was
so
a
would
Walter
he-
White, making meth and stacking
Selling
the
it.
bills. And
Created a ghost. So
Yeah,
he had money.
So he didn't have a good reputation, and
Yeah.
he tried to just start all over again, and kind of seemed weird that
just
he was doing that, and then
moved south.
He could have been cursed by somebody
could
before.
he could have, yeah. Especially if he's moving from like New England, where they had a lot of witch trials going on around that time,
Or New
That could-
Turtleton.
Yeah, and
Yep.
I'm gonna have to Google where New Turtleton is. That's
Downstairs.
that sounds like an amazing place to visit. I would love to visit New Turtleton, Massachusetts. Wouldn't that be hilarious if there's actually is a New Turtleton,
I would
Massachusetts?
like to see that. visit
Find out. Only there was a way to look. Yeah, so people, they thought they were making this up to like get money from people and like, sell tickets and stuff, whatever.
Yeah.
Bring people in, charge them to investigate and whatnot. The
I
thing
want-
is, like, the Bell family, I was actually kind of like losing money on this whole thing because they would put up people that wanted to come and check it out.
You're talking about recently?
No, this was
No.
John
Oh,
Bell,
back
like
then?
back then.
So even in the 1820s, they had this idea of trying to
Ghost
like,
hunts.
charging
That's-
people for ghost hunts.
that's
Well,
what
that
they-
makes sense because that's what he was convicted of. Is usury.
So that's what people thought he was doing. But
Yeah.
they didn't charge anybody. They put people up there for free.
Okay,
They
okay.
fed them. They let them sleep in the house and
So
all that.
he
they
didn't
were
do
actually
that.
they were actually kind of losing money on the
Okay,
whole thing.
wow.
They thought Betsy was like poking herself and pinching herself and
Mm-hmm.
causing the bruises herself. And I believe it was James, the neighbor, or somebody was just like, "No, there's no way she's making this up. This is legit."
That's wild, man.
And then the way that the movie dictated it made it towards like that John was abusing his daughter.
I don't think it was, but
Yeah, but that's just the way that the movie was.
yeah,
making it.
Hollywood.
Well, yeah. If
Yeah.
Good old Hollywood.
from an outside perspective, if I was someone who knew this family and I saw the daughter with bruises head to toe, I mean, that's going to look unusual. That's
Right.
something you don't have happen every single day. So
Yeah.
of course, the first thing that comes to mind is she was beaten.
Well, I think that
and
was
who's
the
gonna
twist.
beat her?
I think that was a
Right.
twist in the movie was that it wasn't a ghost. It was just.
Well, it was just
It was
him.
in her mind.
Oh, come
and it
on.
was like her leaving
Like,
herself. I think, or
spoilers.
something.
weak.
This movie's like 20 years old, but
I want to.
I've just ruined it.
I want to hear if anyone has. I want to hear from someone that has done an overnight investigation or something like recently within like the last 20, 30 years. Because you said that this is still an actual haunted attraction that people can go to and investigate. I would love to hear if there's anyone, maybe someone listening that might be able to tell us if they know someone or if they've personally been out there. I would love to hear about some personal experiences from someone who's listening.
so
Hey, quit yawning.
I do what I want. Was it Ben Bell? What's his name?
Bob Bell. Yeah.
Bob Bell, one of the descendants. like great grandson.
5 times.
Bob,
5 times.
Bob Bell.
Bob Bell.
Bob La La.
He's a mortuary
Blah blah
guy.
blah.
Bob Blah Blah.
Yeah, blah blah blah.
Bob Blah Blah.
Yeah,
There's
that
always
guy.
money. There's always money in the banana stand.
Arrested Development.
So yeah, descendant of John Bell, right? He had activity, and he's kind of a skeptic, but I guess he woke up one night experiencing the same shit.
And what time frame is this? Like 100 years later? Because
This was
This
like
is recent.
Recent.
Oh, recently.
Yeah, he's still alive.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
5
This is-
times great grandfather
Okay.
of John.
Yeah,
so John.
5 times great grandson of John Bell, the
Yes.
original land.
So he was actually there was an interview with this dude on YouTube,
Okay.
and he was experiencing the same stuff, like scratching, knocking, sheets being torn off the bed.
Okay.
He saw lights flickering. He was just like, he
he
thought
was
someone
saying-
broke into his house.
Can you add the link to the YouTube?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he said
I
that
would
there
love
was
to watch that.
There was like a double latch door.
Uh-huh.
And he heard it from his room. He heard it unlatch.
And he's no longer living on the ranch. He's no longer on the
He's
farm.
never lived there. No.
He's never lived there.
No, he's on his own house. He's in his own house doing his own
Is
thing.
he still in Tennessee or is he
yeah,
moved
yeah,
to?
yeah.
Okay.
He's still in the same city.
Same city.
Same
okay,
city.
same area.
Yeah, there's
but-
still family from
Okay,
that
but
family
he's-
still lives there.
Okay, so he hasn't like moved to
No,
New York
it's
or
a
something.
history play. It's like
Okay, so
historic
he-
land. Nobody lives
Gotcha.
there. He's
But
everybody's
he lives,
branched off.
But
They're-
he lives close by.
Yeah, the whole
in the
family
same
has.
rural
I mean,
area.
there was how many kids, and
Yeah.
they've all had how many grandkids?
Yeah.
they all don't live in the same
No,
cabin anymore.
well, of course not. all in the same room
They're all in
together.
the same cabin still.
shoulder
No, they
to
don't live there
shoulder.
anymore.
There's 3,000 of us live in the same room.
So, anyways,
They're like rabbits.
he hears these doors unlatch
In
and
his
then
house.
In his house, that it's down a hallway, and then he hears footsteps come through the hallway to his room and stop in front of his door, and he's freaking out.
Bro.
And he goes and he opens up the door. Nobody's there. He goes down and grabs a gun, and he's searching his whole house, SWAT style,
Yeah.
looking for somebody. Nobody's there.
Well, I don't know if we've ever talked about it, but I know that we went to, what is it? Fear Factory around the holidays. And I'm telling you, man, we heard audible footsteps. Were you with us that time?
I
in
was
the
nearby.
demon
I wasn't-
silo?
I was nearby. I wasn't in the room at the time.
That's the one time I have ever heard audible footsteps, and that scared the piss out of me.
Were you not there at Benson Grist Mill when we heard the footsteps?
No.
We were in the barn one time when we heard footsteps in the rafters above us.
No, I did not hear that. No, but I'm getting chills. You can see my arms just thinking
did.
about it.
Well, that old bank building. I don't know if you were there that one time too.
No,
Like,
I missed
we-
that. I was on the next floor up, and Gary was the one that was describing like a pack of football players.
So
following
that was my attack, and we talked about that a little
Yeah,
bit
the
last
Zion
week.
Bank.
A lot last week, but there was a different time we were there doing a public hunt.
Yeah.
And we were clearing out the building. I came down from the top floor, and I was the last one down. And we hear footsteps start in the middle of the floor, walking towards the stairs. And then they get to the stairs, and I turn around and look, and I'm like, well, who the hell's up there? Because I was the last one down. I'm like, hello? And this might even still be on a video somewhere on like Wisp's old YouTube. But like we hear the footsteps, and I think he started recording like after we heard the footsteps. But like the footsteps got to the door, and then all of a sudden you hear them again start up in the middle of the room and walking back towards the door where the stairs were. And in the video, it's funny because they're like, "Hey Tim, go up there," and I'm like, "I'm not fucking going up there."
No way, man.
I
No.
would, you big
Yeah.
wuss.
Well, this is when I first started investigating. I was still new, but like,
Well, I'm telling you, man. That's.
but
the,
it's trippy, like hearing footsteps when you know there's nobody there.
yeah, the only time
You know
that I've
what's the
heard
trip?
audible footsteps.
Looking at where the steps are coming from and
Yeah.
looking at it and not seeing anything, but
Yep.
the steps are still coming at you. That's nuts.
Exactly. Yeah, that would scare the crap out of me because my experience was when we were at Fear Factory and you weren't there, or you were there but at another part. We were in the demon silo and it was around like Halloween, and it was, you know, there's the silo's circular, but they had like these chain link fences, and I'll kind of like, you know, demonstrate with my hand. It was kind of like in a zigzag to get from one side of the silo to the other. And so we're on one side, and on the other side, we were talking, and up in the rafters, they were like giving us, you know, knocking answers, you know, where we would say like, you know, make a noise, and you'd hear like a couple knocks up in the rafters. So I walked across to see if there was anything that might have been like hitting the wall. There weren't any loose chains or anything. There wasn't anything that I could see that was hitting it. And I walked back, and we asked a couple more times to make a sound, and that's when I heard the footsteps. And it was dirt, but it was hard packed dirt, and you could audibly hear the footsteps going through the chain link fence back and forth, getting close towards us. And I'm looking at everyone else like, you guys hear that too? And they're like, yeah. And we just froze there for a second, listened. And dude, I mean, you can see my arms. That still stands out as one of the spookiest.
So imagine this dude. He's not even a paranormal
He's
investigator.
He's not
and
even
he's got
expecting
this outside his door right now. So he's
Holy
standing
crap.
at his bedroom door,
Yeah.
and those footsteps are right there at his door. So
he doesn't know what's up.
yeah, he doesn't know what's up.
Stepping outside, nothing's there.
Like,
yeah, I would
so-
be like ripping my house apart. Who is in the house with me?
Yeah,
Come
so-
out now.
Besides that, he said there was a time when he was a kid, and his grandma. He was at his grandma's house.
Okay.
And his grandma's house, from the sound of it, they had some huge immaculate house. But they had, so it was him, his dad, and his grandma that were present, and he's a kid at the time. And there was, it was his grandma's china, this fine china. So it was in a butler pantry. The butler pantry's away from the kitchen.
Are you telling me it starts flying off the shelves and breaking?
No. So here's the crazy part.
It's
It's not. So this thing. So this is in a completely different room. The china cabinet from the kitchen, completely different rooms.
Okay.
They, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, say, here, they're like, come and check this shit out. All the china from that cabinet is cleared out and is spread all over the kitchen floor.
What?
None of it's broken. None of it is broken. Man, it's fine china where it could easily break.
Yeah.
But it's laid out across all the floor.
Laid out, yeah.
Nothing broken. And it's all just all the china's out. And so
my
it had
goodness.
left a room, completely different room. No noise. It made zero
Yep.
noise.
No noise.
But he remembers that as a kid, how crazy that was.
Holy cow. Yeah, that would
So it
definitely
sounds like,
freak
I mean,
me out.
it went from, like, it was at his grandma's house.
Yeah. That is
then-
true poltergeist
And then
activity.
him, as an adult, has something crazy to happen to him, too.
Yeah.
So it sounds like something keeps happening to the family.
Yeah, something's pissed at this family.
That's not for that.
Oh, sorry. I won't touch it again. I'm sorry.
Who
Brandon.
invited this guy? Oh, it was me. Sorry.
He just showed up. He manifested. It's like he knew.
So this apparition has been connected to the family for a long time.
Yeah.
Is it just this son in particular, or is she haunting like any other family members?
Well, I
in
just
the
said the
area?
grandma.
Just the grandma.
And then the grandson.
Well, that's like his.
of
Yeah,
that.
that's his memory. So I'm
But,
sure the
I mean,
grandmother.
this is just the people that were interviewed.
Yeah.
There was, I mean,
I bet
I'm
you
sure
anything.
I'm sure the grandmother had to have had more.
I'm sure
stuff
her
like
grandma
that.
and
Yeah.
grandpa had crazy shit happen
Oh
too.
wow! I feel like we're just barely hitting the tip of the iceberg.
We want to
with
find
all of
everybody.
this stuff.
So
Yeah.
the whole town's filled with bells.
Wow.
Let's go find them. Let's go get us a phone book.
New Belltown. It's right next to New Turtleton.
The Bell property. Oh, the Bell Cave. There was one thing that had happened to this guy. There was the guy that owns it invited this guy, and he had some history students with him.
Mm-hmm.
And they get into the cave and get down deep into where this one area is.
Spelunking.
No, they weren't. No,
I
they
like
just
that
walked-
word, spelunking.
I've never
It,
done
it,
it.
can be
Spelunking.
it can be applied to anyone just casually going into a cave. So they're
Yeah.
all spelunking.
They went spelunking.
Well, if
went
they had
spelunking.
ropes and helmets, I don't know what they did. They were just history
you-
students.
Spelunking is just exploring the
Amateur,
cave.
amateur spelunking does not require ropes and helmets.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I
Anyone can be a spelunker.
I thought it had to do with rappelling. And,
No.
Nope, just exploring a cave.
No, that's
Oh.
professional spelunking.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm way ahead.
So, anyways,
here
this professor is
And his-
spelunking.
with his students, and they're with the owner of the cave, and
Okay.
the guy that was invited, the teacher, I guess he had a son with him and didn't want the son to go in there with everybody because he's too young, so he had him stay back with the owner's wife.
Okay.
And then, as they get to the deep point in the cave, and they have all the lights that are on in there, so they can talk about whatever, everything goes off the moment they get there, and it's pitch black.
And if you've ever been
It's pitch
in
black.
Timpanogos
Yeah,
Cave,
there's no light at
they
all.
do that in Timpanogos
So you
Cave,
can see, yeah.
where they turn off the lights for like a few seconds, and you cannot see half an inch in front of your face. I mean, I have had my hand literally like within an inch from my eyes, and I cannot see anything. There's pure absence of light
So
in a cave.
they have to feel their way back out.
Oh, yeah.
And once they get back out, they thought that they were playing a joke on them.
Dude,
So-
that is scary stuff.
So
being,
they,
being lost in a cave, that is
so
like
the-
right there in
the
my
teacher-
nightmare list.
The teacher's son, he wasn't in there. He was with the wife.
Yeah.
And so he was able to verify that she didn't move. She didn't do anything to the lights.
Yeah.
Because the moment they left the cave, the moment they stepped out of the cave,
Mm-hmm.
all the lights came back on.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
And so that's why they thought, okay, they were joking. with
Yeah,
us. And,
yeah.
And they were
But
like, no.
No.
And so the son was able to verify that, no, she didn't mess with the lights.
Bell Witch.
Bell Witch.
It was the witch. We found a witch. May we burn her?
Ban the witch!
Yep.
Ban her! She's got a crooked nose!
Did you dress her up like this?
See if she floats! Is she heavier than a stone?
Churches. Very small rocks. Sorry, Monty Python. Holy
That
Grail.
was just about to ask if that's what it was.
Monty Python and the Holy Grail, yeah. So, yeah, apparently there's still activity going on today. There's an episode, Ghost Adventures went and investigated
I
it.
was going to say, there's probably got to be, an episode of Ghost Adventures.
There
where
is. We talk about our best friend, Zach, all the time.
your best friend,
Yes.
Zach.
Oh, yeah.
He's a big fan of the show.
Big fan, yeah. He writes
Really?
us,
He
yeah, all the time.
bothers us a lot.
Yeah,
Are you serious?
Yeah.
yeah. Huge fan.
You wouldn't know if
Him.
you haven't been here in 2 years.
Yeah.
Patrick Wilson.
All the time.
Yeah.
Patrick Wilson's
All
a
the big
fanboy.
stars.
Yeah.
Yeah, they all bug us. Too.
That makes
It's
sense.
Annoying.
Obviously.
But we love them.
Yeah,
we love all our
that
fans.
would be annoying. Having constantly just
I'm all just
So,
begging,
yeah.
all
begging.
the time. Yeah, please let us be on your
So,
podcast.
I mean, he was embarrassed to see us last year.
Hey, he hit
Or in
himself.
December of 2021, he put his hat down low and his hoodie up and snuck right past us because he was embarrassed to see us.
I feel bad for all those messages I left
That actually did happen.
Okay.
and all the messages.
So we were at the Zach Bagans
His
Haunted
house.
Museum. So
We're
his
at
house.
I still want to go there. I mentioned that to Peaches the other night. She sent me a text message.
That's where the bell comes.
That's
in.
the bell.
That's the bell.
Every time you say the word Peaches,
or Brandy.
yeah. She
So-
messaged me the other night, and we were talking about like the haunted attraction that's coming to Las Vegas.
Universal Studios.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Universal Studios.
So-
And I said, I
dope.
still haven't been to the Zach Bagans
I'm
Haunted
actually
Museum.
trying to plan a trip to Vegas soon.
Right when it opens, she mentioned that.
Well, I want to go to the Haunted Museum.
Yeah.
And then the Universal thing.
Yeah,
But anytime you want to go to the Haunted Museum, let me know.
I will.
We'll go to Vegas.
That sounds good with me, man. I'm legit.
I'm literally in the
because,
process of trying to plan a trip here in
dude,
like a
I
couple
go
weeks.
to I go to Vegas like 2-3 times a year.
Where's
But
John
every time-
Zaffis located?
Every time I
He's
go,
Becky somewhere.
every time I go to Vegas, I've got some other things that I want to do, and just for some reason, that's like the thing that's the variable that doesn't get.
Oh, I went with Ghosty and I cried like a bitch.
Yeah, I remember you telling me
I
about
had to
that.
beat
You
him
had
up.
like
I beat him up in
you
front of
had like
everybody.
And then everyone's like, "Is he okay?" And Dale's like, "Oh, he'll be
I'm all
fine."
just watch this one, and bam, one
you
more
had
time.
like the VIP tour or something where you got to spend a little extra time in the basement, and then you got like a blowjob from Zach afterwards
Yeah.
or something.
That's why he was embarrassed.
That's why he's embarrassed. That's
awesome.
why. Well, that's
Came
why.
with
No,
the ticket.
when we were
Free
we were
blowies.
talking to one of the tour guides,
Uh-huh.
and he actually did walk right behind us and hat down, hoodie up, and like hiding himself as he walked behind us. I totally
Walk
did
of
not
shame.
see it.
Walk of shame after all the
times.
blows.
I didn't see it, but Ghosty here was just like, "Dude, Zach just totally walked behind us," and Angela was like, "Yep," and I was like, "Damn it,
Yeah, because you were over there just jabbering away.
that's what I do.
You missed everything.
I'm creating
Well,
memories."
hey, if it makes you feel any better, I went backpacking with my son last summer or the summer before last. It was during the summer of 2021. It was right after we recorded the podcast, I guess. And on the way out, we went up to Wall Lake. On the way out, I passed this group. My son was in front of me, and he was wearing a ball cap that said "Super Grandpa." He's 11 years old, wearing a ball cap that says "Super Grandpa." And this group of like 5 guys passed us heading in as we're hiking out, and I remember hearing one of them say, "Oh, Super Grandpa, haha, that's funny. Hey, Super Grandpa." And they walked by, and I was just looking at the back of my son's head. The next guys coming up, they're like, "Yeah, that's Paul Rudd in front of us." Paul Rudd had been like hiking in the back, and then as we got out to the trailhead too, the guys coming behind us were like, "Hey, did you see Ant-Man going up the trail there?" And I'm like, "Are you freaking kidding me? I just passed Paul Rudd and didn't even notice him because I was so concerned about them saying something funny about Super Grandpa." I was, looking at my son's head, but yeah,
You missed everything.
And then on the way out too, there's like a little airport there in the vicinity, and we saw this private jet. And we're like, oh yeah, that's Paul Rudd's jet.
That's for Super
Yeah,
Grandpa.
he's like, gets 4 of his buddies. Hey, would you guys carry the heavy stuff? I'll fly you out to Utah. We'll go hiking for a week up in the
Carry
UM
my
Mountains. It'll be
water.
great. Yeah, I want you to
Mule.
carry the stove and all the heavy shit for me.
Paul Rudd, also a
Yeah.
huge fan of the podcast.
Paul
But I was
Rudd.
asking about John Zaffis because where his museum is, maybe it's back east, where close to Tennessee.
I believe so.
Well,
Maybe, I don't know.
Witch Cave.
There's a
Bell
very
Witch
good possibility I'm going to Tennessee or Kentucky. Actually, Kentucky this
I
year.
thought John Zaffis lived more in like the New England area.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
He's got stuff.
Yeah, he's got a museum.
He's got some
He's got a
stuff.
museum.
A few things. A couple items. Some cursed stuff from what I understand. Haunted.
Haunted, cursed
Haunted
stuff.
That
stuff.
museum would be pretty.
Well, I mean,
cool
that's
to
what he
check out.
does. He collects haunted stuff.
Well, he had a TV show.
He's
Haunted
a haunted
Collector.
collector.
So, yeah,
See, I'm leading the
we
conversation.
we should plan a trip to Vegas to go to a
Let's
haunted
go to
museum.
Vegas. Let's go to Vegas. Seriously, I'm down for that.
So did you know? I like to say that John Bell, right?
Uh huh.
Kate took credit for killing him.
Yep.
First and only death in U.S. history to be credited towards the paranormal and supernatural.
First and only death?
Yep.
Why not just say only death?
Why not say both?
Well, if there's a first, then there's
And
a
last.
second or a last.
There was also
or
the last.
multiple.
It was
It's
the
the
first
first-
and last.
And only and last. First, only, and
It
last.
was all three
The
of them.
only
And
The
last.
only death in U.S. history.
paranormal history ever in the U.S.
recorded.
Of someone dying
By a ghost.
from a ghost.
Yep.
Okay,
First.
got it.
First and only last.
Just
His
so we're
everything.
clear,
His first, his last, his everything.
the alpha and the omega. Oh my goodness. Okay, now that we got that clear, so she died from the ghost. How did she die?
Who's
died.
she?
He died.
He
John
yeah,
Bell.
Yeah, John.
The
of
poison.
course. We're talking about that John Bell. I thought
That
we're-
John Bell.
See, we were fast forward to the present. I'm thinking about
Yeah,
current day John Bell.
we jump around.
yeah.
Jump around.
There's a current John
jump
Bell.
up, and get down.
Well, everyone in the town is named John Bell.
There's at
John
least
Bell.
probably 10 of them.
There's
out there.
13.
There's 13,000 of them.
You know it's Friday the 13th?
Named John Bell.
Friday the 13th, folks.
Is.
It's when we're recording, but everyone's going to hear this on Monday the,
16th.
Yeah.
16th.
So forget about your
Yeah.
So while
superstitions.
you're
Put
sitting
aside.
at home from work on Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day, listen to the Bell family.
But while it is
You've already
Friday,
listened to it at this point.
really quickly, Friday the 13th. What are your fears? What are your fears?
What are my fears?
Yeah.
I think you and I share the same
Okay.
fear.
My fear, the only fear I have is, so it's not a fear of heights, it's a fear of falling from that height.
Yeah, agoraphobia.
Okay, yeah. So I can be somewhere up high and look down and be completely fine.
No,
as
I-
long as I know that I'm completely safe.
So you go skydiving all the time.
I have not done that yet. I'm still fucking like it makes like I would be down, like it sounds like, oh hell yeah. But then when I start thinking
way.
about it, I start getting real freaked out.
Why jump out of a perfectly good at working airplane? I mean, what about you? Is that it? Agoraphobia?
That's pretty much it when it comes to
Heights?
fear. Not heights, it's the
It's the
falling.
falling, yeah.
No, it's
Yeah.
mine's heights. You might have remembered when we were going across that bridge at Fear Factory.
Yeah.
I cried like a
Oh,
bitch.
dude, I do
Here's
not.
a pattern. There's a
And-
pattern here. You're a big bitch.
When I was younger too, I went up to what is it, the Sears Tower in Chicago, and they have an observation deck that goes out a little bit with glass that you can stand on and lean against the wall.
Yeah, I seen that
Oh,
slanted
man.
glass.
No freaking way.
I could do that. I could do that because it's safe.
Yeah, see, I
the-
can't even do that.
here's the thing,
Grand
those-
Canyon Bridge, no way.
Those
I
two
would do
towers
that.
at Fear Factory, that bridge that connected those two towers, it was like a mesh with like clear plastic underneath or glass or something. So it was like a solid walkway, but you could see straight down like 60 feet. And Lurch and I had the hardest time walking across that bridge.
They even have bridges in China that I saw that are glass
And then they
bridges.
had the
And
cracking.
then they add the little
the
crack
LCD screen.
special effects to that. It's like, no.
And then everybody
I'm
just
not,
drops. And
I'm not walking across that if they're gonna.
What's
have,
funny
like,
is when
little
that
crack.
happens,
No.
what happens to everybody? They drop. It's
Yeah.
like a drop. It's cracked glass. Are you
Yeah.
gonna drop on cracked glass,
Yeah.
you big dummy? You're gonna go right.
I'd
through
be
it.
like jumping over.
Yeah, I'd be like, go to the next one. They just go collapse right on the cracked glass.
Run towards
It's gonna
the
crack
edge.
less if I lay on it.
I know. I'm gonna just disperse my weight. on
Sprawl
the-
out. It's like ice. I'm not gonna go under.
So, I forgot what I was
Heights.
going
Yeah,
to say.
disperse your
Heights.
weight. Yeah, so we went off on a tangent. I'm the same way too. I have a fear of heights. I have a fear of deep water. I have a fear of something coming up out of the deep water and like nibbling on my toe and
Okay.
then grabbing
You
my
know
foot
what?
and pulling me down.
I never had that fear until I got
Now?
stung by a stingray.
yeah.
And I was like about chest deep water. I was out there kind of by myself.
Uh-huh.
It was late in the season, no more vacationers. So I'm out in the ocean and I'm body surfing. So I'm waiting for a good wave. And as the swell comes up, you kind of kick up with it and fall back down with it.
And
as
you
I was,
see something in the
no,
the
I was
way?
just kicking, you know. But as I came down on a stingray.
Oh, okay.
And you can't see that shit.
No,
Anyways,
no.
it tagged me twice in my toe, and I had no idea what it was.
Oh.
So you can't look down and see what's down there.
Yeah.
It's not crystal clear. It's
No.
California.
Yeah, you have no idea what's down
Yeah,
there.
so it's dark green water. You can't see.
So you got out of the water and
so
then
I'm,
you, then you
the
peek-
things are just going through my mind. Like, what was that? Like, did something bite me? Did something pinch me? Like, was that a crab or was it a lobster? Was it a fish? Was it a shark? And then I'm thinking, oh, shit, it's starting to hurt and
Yeah.
pulse.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, shit, I'm probably bleeding. I'm pretty far from shore. That means I got a blood trail.
I should be paddling in about
Yeah,
now.
so I'm going in.
Yeah.
And I'm like just starting to panic. So I've never had that fear until that happened. And yeah, now I kind of think about that sometimes.
So when you got out, you peed on your foot, right? And that made
That's
it better.
for jellyfish.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
okay.
jellyfish.
Yeah.
But anyways,
I
no,
still
when I
would've-
walked out.
I would've peed on
I
my
walked
foot
out and
anyways.
I looked at my foot and it was fine. It looked fine. And I was like so relieved. And then I start walking towards where my cousin was sitting.
But did
and
you pee on your foot?
He looks right at it and he just points at it.
Yeah, did
and
your
there's just
cousin pee
pee.
on his foot?
I'm just peeing myself. I'm just pee everywhere.
Not just his foot. Then you gotta
No,
look.
anyway.
So what happened?
No,
Did
he
you guys-
points at it,
Uh-huh.
and he's like, "What happened to your foot?" And I had just seen it, and it was fine.
You started to
And
get
I
like
looked
elephant
down.
man foot.
No, it was just like a big ball of blood and sand all around it. I had no idea.
Gross.
And so I started saying what had happened. Some dude overheard me. He's like, "That's a stingray." So yeah,
Wow.
that sucked.
So
That
what
was
happened?
like-
Did you have to go to the hospital?
no,
or?
just in the lifeguard tower. What you do
Oh,
for
anaphylactic shock.
no,
thing,
what they
or-
do for
He died.
stingrays?
Oh, he died.
Is they,
That makes sense.
Is they amputate your heart? They pull your heart out.
And then they put it back
Amputate your
in.
heart?
And, yeah,
They put a
pull
pig's
it
heart back
out.
in.
Yeah.
Show us the scar.
Dale has a pig's heart.
It's in my back. Well, actually, they go. From
man.
there's a big one right here.
I don't want to see your ass.
It's still the wound is still open.
I never knew you had a pig heart, Dale.
So, anyways, no, they just have you
Ghosty.
submerge it in scalding hot water, and it pulls the venom out.
Sorry. Wow.
Yeah, so it doesn't
That's
swell.
insane.
So I had to sit there for like hours in just the hottest water possible.
And just wow, that's
pee yourself. You
that
just
is
sit there and pee on it.
insane. Yeah. Well, you pee in the water, and that helps extract the
It sure does.
because it's pee is hot. It's warm.
So what's your just the heights? Heights is it for you guys?
Heights and fear of deep water. Yeah, yeah. Brandy, Peaches.
Clowns.
She
Chlorophobia.
well, no, she also has the same fear of deep water,
does.
and she sent me some photos or like visual art images years ago, like maybe probably a year or two ago, and it was like artist depictions of that same fear, and oh my goodness, that hit me right.
But like
in the
I like to
feels.
snorkel. I like to go snorkeling and stuff.
That would be fun.
I can do that because you can see.
Because you can see, but it's
Well, when
it's
you're
the-
treading water head
treading
above.
water in deep water. I mean, I don't even.
Have
get
you
into
seen
lakes.
those videos where people jump in the water and then there's a shark in their face? Have you seen that when they got a GoPro?
No, and I wouldn't want to.
So there's a guy cliff jumping, and he's got a GoPro, and you don't even see it from up where he's at. But as he lands in the water with the GoPro,
oh, and then he sees
the shark's
shark.
in his face, and the shark like turns and swims away because he scared it.
Yeah.
Because he lands in the water
Yeah.
almost on top of it.
Yeah,
Holy shit!
I know, right?
There was this other video I saw. Some big dumbass. He thought it was a basking shark and it was a great white, and he jumped in the water. Trying to pet. He
wants to pet it.
Yeah, he petted it, and he jumps back on the boat. He's all, I touched it, and the guy's all, that wasn't a basking shark, bro.
I'm going to pet a shark.
You thought it was those friendly basking
The
sharks.
friendly basking sharks.
So, but yeah, that's the Bell Witch.
Good
I was
podcast.
thinking the same thing, and that's the Bell Witch.
I was
Folks.
looking at your face, and it said it all. It
Did you
said,
saw me making faces at the camera?
no, I just saw it from the side. It just said,
I was
so
sitting
that's
here-
the Bell Witch, folks.
That's what I was.
Basking sharks.
That's what
and
I was
shit.
thinking. I'm like, that's the Bell Witch.
It was
And so
because
you
I
said
went
it.
off on a tangent. It's because
I
I asked what
was
you guys'
literally
fears
sitting here
were.
just
It's
like-
because it's Friday the 13th. It's
So-
me. Blame me. You're welcome. Thanks.
All right. Well, thank you for listening to our episode about the Bell Witch.
Is that it?
And
Yeah,
sharks.
that's it. Do you
That
got
is
more?
it.
You got
Do
more to talk
what do you
about?
got?
I was just getting warmed up. I thought we had like another hour or so.
We're already at an hour.
That's the end?
You can come back.
Yeah, we can do another
Okay,
one.
okay. That sounds
It's
good.
like it's not the only time you can be here.
All right. Deal.
You just manifested
Yeah.
tonight. You can manifest again some
In
other
two, in
time.
2 more years.
In 2 years, we'll call you.
Okay.
Maybe this is why it's been 2 years. I have no idea.
I'm good with that then.
Okay, so
Bell Witch.
Bell Witch.
Hey, good
Follow
episode.
us,
Yeah.
follow us on the Instagram and the Facebook, evp.pod.
And the YouTubes.
And the YouTubes, EVT,
And
the EVP.
post-
EBDBDB pod.
Post that YouTube link of the video.
I will
that you were
do
talking
that.
About too. I want to see that.
If you have a story of the Bell Witch that you'd like to share with
Yes.
us, you can email us at evp.pod@gmail.com. Follow our link tree. It's there somewhere on Instagram and Facebook. Donate. We need that yacht.
One day.
I think we're shooting for the canoe still first. But if you want to get a hold of Lurch, you can get a hold of him. He does arts.
Yeah, I'm also a freelance artist. I'm a professional. I don't like calling myself. I can't
You get
even
paid your
freaking talk.
You get paid your professional.
I
draws.
I
literally-
draw things.
He's a drawer.
He's
yeah.
a doodler.
And
He's a pretty damn good doodler.
He's the best doodler.
if you're on Instagram, go to StimuKill_designs. StimuKill with 2 L's. STIMUKILL_designs. And you can see my portfolio. I've done stuff for Lucasfilm. I've done stuff for Garbage Pail Kids. I draw for Tops. I like to draw stuff. So
Check out his doodle.
He's really good at it.
whatever.
All right, guys. Go see Don't Play That.
Peace out, butterflies.
See ya. Bye.
This is the EVP Podcast.